Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream. And I've been off for quite some time, actually. I have got myself a brand new computer, which has given me the capability now to run Unity alongside Twitch. I was having a lot of difficulty a few months ago trying to run the two side by side on my old machine, but now I'm good. So yeah, let me cut across to my monitor here. Hello. Welcome aboard. Welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you've seen the channel, my name is Martin. I'm the founder of Zarktor Studios. About 1 year into a development of a game called Zarktor's Realm, and looking to release it on the Steam platform July 2023. That's the plan. So tonight, what I want to do is to sort of return to my regular sort of once a week stream, and do a bit of work on a few things that are a bit of fun, which is the pets in the game, and to start laying down some of the AI around how these animals are going to behave in the game, and work on the demo scene. I'll probably just bring in an NPC and actually start some dialogue with the NPC, so a bit of an explore. But please throw your questions into the chat, and yeah, off we go. So what I'm looking at here is a cat. Is a scene of a whole lot of fully animated cats. They're really, really good high definition renders of cats that are fully animated. They've got all sorts of sort of animation routines. This guy I think is quite good for heavy metal. Just got to speed him up a little bit, make him do his head nod in time with the music. So yeah, Zarktor's Realm is a medieval third-person game set in the UK. Cats are a fairly big thing in the UK. They're very, very common. So we're going to have cats in the game, which will be around the towns and villages, but they'll also potentially be sort of made friendly, so that they'll follow you around. They'll go in your inventory, a bit like World of Warcraft, where you can kind of call on them, and they'll come to your aid. Except the cats generally don't come to your aid. They can kind of want their own thing. I just want to show you the quality of this is absolutely amazing. Let me just pause the screen and just take a look at the level of detail in the cat's eyes here. Let me see if I can get a bit closer. Actually, I'll do it in isometric view because I think that works a little bit easier to. There you go. Absolutely amazing. So these models are from a. So I can find off the asset store here. I can't remember if they're called fully animated cats. Animated cats. I think they've changed the name of it at some point. Let me just try cats. Nope. Cats. God, how many different types of it? There it is. Fully animated cats. By a company called Indie Cat. They are really awesome. Lots of different varieties of cats. They've got all sorts of different color schemes and lots of different animations in there. I think I got it a while back when it was on special. It's on special again here. So yeah, that's this scene here, and they just look incredible. So you will be able to look at the pets up close, fairly up close. In game, they'll probably be a bit smaller, but you will be able to inspect them and see what they're up to. Let me unpause that and get them back into their animation cycles. So yeah, they're this first set. They're just doing actions, playing with a ball or whatever he's doing there. Drinking water, I think. And the light on the eyes is actually a shadow on that right-hand eye for him is a shadow. So depending on where the sun is, you'll get that effect. Eating or something. I don't know what they're doing. He's scratching and shaking his ears, digging, cleaning. So there's a few there. These ones are obviously having a sleep. waking up or whatever. They're in their sleep cycle. So what you've got to do with these is kind of select, let's say, the sleep cycle here, to take the pet, pick a prefab with the right mesh and the right materials on it for the type of cat that you want, and then you create, I'm using a product called Emerald AI, and you tell it which animation cycles are going to play, and it'll figure out what it's going to do with them. But obviously here there's a wake up cycle and there's a sleep cycle, and then that's when he's asleep. So yeah, it's a sitting laying down cycle, just a sitting cycle, and I'm not sure what they're doing there. What's he doing there? I think that's where he's jumping into water, or landing. So yeah, that's kind of there's a swimming section here in a minute. Jiggly ears. Not quite sure what he's doing, but he's wiggling one ear, both ears. Blink cycles, panting. I'm not sure what he's doing. Looking around. So I mean, they're very, very granular animation cycles. You can kind of mix and blend these and put these together into quite an interesting series of movements, and then let the AI figure it out. These are the swimming ones I was talking about. So obviously if they touch a body of water, and the trigger can set that off, then they can start their swim cycle, which is quite cool. That's when he's jumping down and swimming into the water, obviously. Turning, which is important for the locomotion part of it. So they need to turn, otherwise the body will just sort of rotate midstream and look really odd. So you need your turning circles. Crouching, let me just bring the camera down. So slinking around as cats do. And what do we think? These look like combat. So yeah, he's got a frontal mouth attack, left and right paw attacks. They look like aggressive turns, so I think these are combat turns, which are different to the normal turns. So you can kind of make them, depending on what mode they're. It's a death animation there, left and right. And then you've obviously got your idols. So there's a ton. And of course, any one of these cats, you can use any one of the prefabs and any one of the styles. And I think in the game, we're probably going to end up with a whole lot of them. But they'll be pre-programmed with AI routines called profiles. And there'll be a selection of these animations associated with them that will trigger in the game depending on what you're doing. So, yeah, I absolutely love this pack. It's just so beautiful the way they're rendered. It just looks fantastic up close. So yeah, I need to find a way for the player, when the player is interacting with them, to sort of change the camera position so you can get in close. But the eyes are just absolutely beautiful the way they've rendered them. It's amazing. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. The fur looks really good too. You wouldn't generally be this close in game. But yeah, that's the fully animated cats package. I really, really like that one. So that's one of the packs I'm going to try and bring at least one or two prefabs into the demo scene. I'll pick a couple of these and throw these into the picture. I might have a black one and a Turkish fan type thing, this sort of thing, or a ginger one. And carefully select some of these animations that generally, probably with a cat, it's going to be a sleep cycle and a stretch and a walk, and a sleep again. But obviously we can make them do other things as well. So that's the animated cats that we're going to be working with. Now the wolf ones are quite interesting. So if I bring up these prefabs, this is I've got quite a few different wolf packs. So let's bring up the Malbus one. That's better. This is a Malbus wolf type here, which has the fur on the back, which you can get rid of. The fur is actually animated, so this will move with the animal as it's moving, which is very cool. And there's a cub version of those as well. Little guys, they've got different different patterns on them. This one's obviously a glowing version, but the cubs are they're quite cute. Let's pick up the grey one. There he is. Again, you can give them pretty much the same animation profile as the cats. So if you can wire up movement sets that make sense for an animal patrolling or an animal in its sleep and eat cycle or whatever, then you can kind of share it, which saves a lot of time and energy setting them all up. But these wolves are from Melbers, which is actually the same company that does the horse riding part that I like. And you got the sort of Arctic fox types. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be using these Melbers wolves and cubs and things. And the other one I'm very keen to use is the fox. This guy here is quite cool. And he has the same sort of rig as the other ones. So it's an animal mesh. It's not a humanoid rig. It's an animal rig. And we just need to make sure that it has the right type of objects attached to that prefab, and then we can put it in the scene and start doing some AI with it. So I may sort of experiment with this fox one as well. Let's have a look at some of these other ones. We've got some dogs, generic sort of dogs. That the quality of these is not quite anywhere near as good as the cats. So I'm questioning whether they're good enough to go in the game. But for the sake of having a placeholder until we find a better model, we may have some sort of generic dogs in here. There's quite a few sort of variants and a pug. So yeah, we've got a few pugs and various other dogs and wolves and things. And we've got a plague in the game, the plague of Justinian. There's going to be a lot of rats. So I'm going to have to give these guys some sort of AI routine as well to sort of scatter around and find the sewers and all that sort of thing. So we've got rabbits, which again have a sort of fur that moves with the rabbit as it's moving around, or hare. We have another couple there, brown rabbits. There's a fair few sort of farmyard animals to go in. There's a lot of open land, so you're going to get a lot of herding of groups of animals that are going to basically run in an AI routine in a group and sort of herd together. So there are sheep that are going to do that. I don't know if these guys are fully rigged. I'm very interested to know, because I'd love to sort of give some of these animals facial expressions or blink the cycles and things like that, but I don't know that that's going to be there. I don't think this guy's got... no, he hasn't got control over that. So he can't control his eyelids or his mouth, so some of these are a bit more basic than others. The Malbers horses, we've got quite a few different horse variations in the game. Some of them may be wild that you'll need to try and find and tame and take for yourself. But yeah, quite a few different variants on that. Wouldn't be complete without a goat. I think we've got cows in here. Various sorts of cows. And most of this is sort of going to be background animals that are just in the scene. You may be able to sort of interact with them to some degree by sort of scaring them off, or if you get close, they're going to try and run away, or maybe you can hunt them. Chickens, a few different types of chicken. And chicks. Oh, there's the cat. Yeah, a couple of different types of chick. And then we've got our various forms of cat. These are actually not the same cats as the one I was looking at before. This one here is actually from that animated cats set that I will be using. I'm not sure about using these other ones from this other pack. This one, I'm not sure about that one. I think that's going to work. Quite a few different types of bird. I'm not sure the vulture's going to work because it's medieval UK and I don't think they had vultures. So that one may not make it. Or a toucan. But we do have a tawny owl in the UK. So I think this one is going to be a wild animal that you can actually take as a pet. He will fly, if I can find the scene for him with his animation cycle. So he's quite good. I think he could be used as a pet. He may even be able to do stuff for you. Just seeing if he's got any. He's got a skin mesh renderer. Okay, so has he got? Sort of rigging has he got? Does look like the beak, the jaw, the head, the neck. So they have controls on the armature. So that could mean that we might be able to control the beak. I'm hoping we can control the eyes too, but it could be the animation cycle already has that covered. Yeah, so I'm quite sort of keen to get the tawny owl in there as a pet. There is a sparrow, which looks pretty cool. He's very, very small, though. Very, very small. Like when you see him in the game, he's going to be pretty tiny. But he will be, again, background, part of the environment that you might interact with or see from time to time. We've got flocks of sparrows as well, so there's a whole set that will actually flock in the sky, and you'll see them in the sky looking up. We've got other sparrows. Seagulls, plenty of seagulls. If you're near seawater, then you'll see them. Plenty of pigeons, and a pigeon flock. So there's a flocking version of that. That's an AI grouping that will they'll fly around for a bit, and then they'll land on something, and then they'll fly off again. A great horned owl. It's another sort of type of owl. I'm not sure it looks nowhere near as good as the other one. Goose, he's pretty cool. Hoping that jaw is actually rigged for it's got bones by the look of it. Yeah, so hopefully we can. Yeah, it looks like that whole jaw can be rigged for maybe even rigged for speech, but certainly rigged for sound. We've got an eagle. I don't think that's going to go in the game because it's American. It's not in the UK. Ducks, flocking crows. Oh, you can't see him. There's a crow. And the cockatiel. Now, the cockatiel he's brilliant. I have already done some work with him, and his beak, his eyes, the feathers on the top of his head and the feathers in the tail can be controlled through an animator and given to a product called Salsa. And Salsa will do lip sync. So you feed in an audio file, a WAV file, or an MP3, and it will use the amplitude of that audio file to figure out how to move whatever you've told it is the mouth, which could be a wing, but in this case it would be the upper and lower beak. And it will periodically do a blink cycle, so it'll make him blink. And it's also got these things called emotes. And the emotes could be wired to, in a surprise, he might raise the feathers on top of his head, or he might waggle his tail or something. So this guy is going to be a pet, obviously, but if you feed him a certain type of seed, then he is going to actually start talking to you and give you quests. And he's going to be... he might be on your shoulder a lot of the time, so I don't know, he might look like that in the corner of the view or something a lot of the time. But he's quite cool. Going to get a voice actor to do the audio for him. So he's I like him. He's very cool. We've got bats. As I say, some of these models are better quality than others, but a lot of them you probably won't see apart from at a distance, so I'm not too worried. So this one here, the bird cockatiel Salsa. This is actually the one that's been rigged with dialogue, and you can see the beaks open in this model. And I just wonder if I can get him to do something here. References. There you go. So we get him to say something. I think it's muted at the moment, but he'll basically play an audio, and he's got feathers up, feathers medium, feathers. So you see the feathers on top of his head can be wired to give an expression. So it's an emote of some sort. And then for the mouth, he's got a mandible and a beak bone. And we've got him saying he's got a rest state, which is closed. He's got to say small. He's got to say medium and a say large. Obviously, the beak opens up. And in addition to the visemes that are playing when the audio plays, he can also do his emotes at the same time. So you can kind of configure it to do different things. You can configure them to do head movements, so they turn their head or tilt their head or something like that. And you can get them to look at things in the distance or look at the character that they're talking to. So whilst this is the Salsa is designed for sort of human-to-human interaction, it can work with animal. It can actually work with any object you want. You could talk to a door and have a door open and close with the audio of the. Which that's quite a cool idea, isn't it? A mimic. Have a mimic that the chest open and closes with the audio. That'd be quite doable with this. So you literally rig up each bone or each controller for moving something. You've rig it up to a particular part of a viseme, and that viseme will then trigger in a pattern here that's in a curve. And the louder the amplification of the louder the amplitude of the audio file, the higher up that scale it will go, and then it will start triggering those other visemes. So I rigged him up just as a bit of an experiment. It worked really, really well, actually. So I'm very keen to get him into the demo as potentially a quest giver, or at least someone you can have some dialogue with. He's a lot of fun to sort of have in the scene, but you need to kind of get the camera to come in close to him as well when you're talking to him, otherwise he's too small in the scene. Oh, there you go. So the look target, you can actually give him the look target of the player. So he will look at the player. I'm not quite sure how it works when he's got eyes on each side of his head, whether he would turn his head to look at you with one eye or just face you. I don't know quite how that's going to work. We're just going to experiment with that. And there's the audio source. So in this case, we've got a high elf dialogue, farewell, my friend. Which is just one of my samples. So, yeah, he will use that dialogue. Whatever dialogue is plugged into that audio clip file, that's what's going to trigger the visemes to be fired. And we're using a system called Dialogue System, and that basically allows you to interact with NPCs and choose different dialogue choices, and the results of those choices will branch off depending on parameters that we have in the game, and each of those dialogue choices will come up as a subtitle on the screen, which will be changing to different languages, but each one of those dialogue choices will then also play the dialogue on either the player or the NPC, depending on who's speaking. So all those sort of technical aspects of how it all works is all ready to go in the game. It's now just a question of wiring everything up to actually do it with this character in this scene and so forth. So that's the cockatiel. He's great, love him. What else we got? The beagle. Let's come out of these prefabs. The beagle, he's sort of relatively low poly. I'm not brilliantly impressed with the quality of him, but there's a few sort of background animals that are going to be in the environment, such as the frogs. Oh, we've got fish. And they actually look pretty good. They'll be animated in the water. You might be able to catch them too. Pike, salmon, pink salmon. We've actually got a shark, although I don't know that the UK has sharks in its waters. We'll see. What else we got? Goats, horses we've talked about. Oh, we've got a few lizards. So salamander type thing, little lizards. Lots of pigs. So that obviously with farming being a big thing in medieval England, there will be lots of pigs, boars, wild boars, domestic pigs. So a whole lot of variations of these. These are not going to do a whole lot other than hang around in a farmyard and sort of just pot around and eat and sleep. Rabbits. We've got a couple of scorpions. I'm not sure we're going to end up using those. You know what I might do is put them in a dungeon somewhere, because people don't really like scorpions. They do look a bit menacing. So having a few of those scattering around in a dungeon might work. We've actually got a turtle, snapping turtle. I'm not sure I'm going to use that one. I think it came in one of the big animal packs that I had. It had like 20, 30 animals. So a lot of them, like giraffes and things, they're not going to be in medieval England. Yeah, so quite a range of animals. And what I want to do is take the demo scene that I've been using for GammaCon last weekend. And so if you're joining the stream and you were at GammaCon, you probably saw like a catacomb level that I was playing with. And what I want to do tonight is actually put an NPC into that scene that you can have dialogue with, get a quest off, and potentially have some animals around them as well, and just sort of have a bit of a play around with that scene, so what we can do with it. All right, so yeah, that's kind of the animal library. There are more in here. I just haven't pulled them out into prefabs, so they're still sort of hidden within the subfolders. But they're probably the key ones that I want to work with tonight. Is probably the wolf, the cat, and the bird. I think they're the ones that will be most fun. So yeah, let me get on to let's bring up this catacombs level. Alrighty. Get above ground. So here's our character. Displaying the hitboxes on the hands. Get rid of that in a sec. All right, let's turn that off. Let's inclusion culling. Let's cull the visuals and press play, and I'll just show you what this scene looks like as it stands. And then we'll start playing around with it. So this is in the editor, and I'm streaming, and I'm running Twitch in the background as well. So it's not going to be as fast as it is when it's compiled. Anywhere near as fast, because I'm not got any optimization whatsoever other than occlusion culling. So in the top screen there, you can see if I face forwards, the camera doesn't bother trying to render stuff behind me. If I turn around, then it's going to render stuff behind me, but not in front of me. So that real-time culling of objects is happening, but that's basically the only optimization that's going on in this scene at the moment. But yeah, if I should have actually gone. This scene's not massive. Turn the occlusion culling back off. If I zoom back out, this whole level is actually it's quite a bit of stuff mostly in the background. This is kind of just low poly stuff that's sitting in the background just to get a sort of a mountain range. The actual game area is actually pretty small here, and the level of detail in some of these objects tails off pretty quickly. So I think this is one of the template scenes in one of the packages that I've got. But I'm going to be modifying this and using this as a sort of starting point for a demo. So yeah, as you get to this area, the level of detail drops away dramatically. There's no point in having stuff here because you're not supposed to be in this area. If you are over here, however, where the character is, then it's all fully rendered with grass and rocks and everything else. So, but over here is an entrance to a dungeon or a catacomb, and it's got lots of lights in there. So it's using volumetric lighting, and you'll see here that I have put some skeleton zombies who are the plague husks in the game. They're pretty low quality mobs. They're easy to kill. This is kind of like a tutorial level, so they're going to be pretty easy just to hit and knock out. But they'll get progressively harder as you get further into the dungeon, into the catacomb. So these guys, if you sort of follow it down here, you've got a cave system that joins up with like a man-made catacomb area. and so forth. And then down in the dungeons down here, there are more and lots of them. So there's quite a few of these guys. There's a few things that I found by putting this demo together is if you actually jump down into this pit of bodies, you can't get out again, so you're stuck. So we need a climbing method of getting out of here, or a respawn or something that's going to get you out of this area. I love these models; it just look so good. And I've used a scale factor on these to make some of them bigger than others, just make them a bit more interesting. But this is like the lowest quality zombie level. These guys are literally just come back from the dead. And this is one of the early sort of tutorial levels where you just going to be killing off some zombies in order to complete a sort of introductory quest. This guy, however, is a monster ancient. I think that's the name of the pack that I got him off. I love him. He's so mossy. And so he will be more like a boss in this level, and he'll be harder to kill. He may actually be spawning other ones around him. So depending on what order you do things in this catacomb area, you might wind up with a whole lot of them around him. So yeah, it could be quite interesting. But my main goal at the moment is to get back to up here. And where are we? No, I don't want to go to him. I want to go to the player. Jump to the player. There we go. So the main thing at the moment is there's nothing around up here. I want to put a hut. Have an NPC living in that hut who has a problem with all the zombies and things coming out of that cave, and sets the player on their quest to go and investigate and clear out what's going on in the catacombs here. So yeah, that's my plan for tonight, and I think I'm going to use an old witch type who has lots of cats, so that she's got a little hut and she can have a lot of cats roaming around. So you'll be interacting with the cats, you'll be interacting with the NPC. She'll give you a quest through some dialogue. You go and clear out the catacombs, solve that sort of mini quest, and then come back to her and get the reward, and you're kind of done with this area. And that's kind of like a tutorial zone. I guess it's sort of then illustrates how the play controls will work when you're horse riding, because there's actually a horse over here that you can ride, and clear out the catacombs for the old cat lady. Yep, that's pretty much it. I think that it's an easy way to kind of start with a tutorial level that kind of gets you into some melee combat, but you can also do your bows and arrows, that sort of thing. There'll be some fun dialogue as well. But yeah, I wanted to get the animals into this area so that we can start getting some wild animals, so you can start doing some hunting, but also maybe she gives you one of her cats as a pet. I think that would probably be a nice thing for her to do, since she's got so many of them. So yeah, that's what I want to do, is build out this area a little bit. So let's actually just hide the player for the time being. We don't need the player right now. Let's move a little bit faster. We haven't got the player hanging around. And let's actually see if we can find a prefab of the old lady. I think she's in NPCs. Is it witch? I think that might be the one. Yeah, that's her. Okay. She was a cat along. Could well be. She's a bit raggedy. I'm not sure about the eyes. I really don't like those eyes, so I might change them up a bit. She's fairly low poly, and I haven't done anything to sort of smarten up the way that it's rendering, so it's a bit of a mess at the moment. But I have managed to get the cloth to be transparent at least. And I think this has got a cloth animator on the back, so we'll see when we start giving her some animations to do. All right, let's wait for that to do its thing. That don't mean I need to buy another computer. All right, so where are you? NPC witch, there she is. So yeah, she's got a cloth component on there, which I'm assuming will actually animate this thing on her back. Let's just play it and see if she does anything. I don't think she does. I think she just stands there because I haven't got anything attached to her yet. Yeah, there's the cloth. Okay, so we've got good. So it's good cloth. She's in a T-pose. Lighting is not brilliant. I'm not sure if I've rigged her for salsa for dialogue yet, but I think she could probably work quite well in this area. I think this is probably the best place to put her. So you're sort of coming into this area, finding the hut, talking to her, getting the quest, going off dealing with the thing. I think that's the way to do it. All right, well, let's give her something to do. And what I might actually do to just speed up the scene while I'm editing is to take the interior environment and just temporarily hide it. And all the enemies, I don't need them while I'm playing with the NPC. Okay, so take the enemies, just turn them off. Interior lights we don't need. Environment interior, that should be a little bit faster for me to move around and do stuff. That's better. All right, save that scene. I'm going to change her eyes because that just doesn't look right at the moment. It's definitely not right. Okay, what do you got going on here? You've got green emission eyes. That does not look right. Black, white. Yeah, okay, so, all right, what I might do is change her eyes for the pack that I use a lot, which is Eye Advanced, which actually gives me the opportunity to give her normal human eyes. Let's see if we can do this. Eye Advanced. Textures. Okay, so we want the iris texture. We might give her brown eyes to start with. Iris mask. Iris mask. Shadows iris. Iris cataract. Shadows iris. Sclera shade. Sclera. Iris mask. Cornea mask. Eye normal. And is that right? I think it might be right. Sometimes these work, sometimes these don't work with these eyeballs. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think that's going to work. Damn. Okay. All right. Let's undo all that. Go back to what we had. Obviously, it doesn't like the shape of those eyes or something about them. Okay. It's a bit spooky and take them out completely. Let's do something a little bit different. Let's get rid of the emission map. That's baked. Okay. Okay. I see. So the eyeball is actually part of the texture for the face by the look of it, which might explain why I had a problem changing it. All right. Well, it's probably better than the green, so we'll start with that. I think the camera, when the camera moves in close, it's just deciding to. This is just in editor mode. It's just deciding to crop that, and hide these parts, which is a bit annoying when you're in the editor, but it does work. All right, let's give her an animator and see if we can get her doing something useful with her life. Animator. So we need her avatar to start with. NPC, which mesh, which we got her avatar. Can we do it that way? No, we can't do it that way. Where is your avatar? Where is your avatar, lady? I wonder if it's... why isn't there That is annoying. Not having an avatar could be a bit of a problem. We can't control her. Alright, I wonder if we can give her a different avatar. Human. Alright, let's see if we can do... Oh, no, that wasn't what I wanted to do. Avatar. Which? No, there's no which there. Human. Human, female avatar. We'll just see if it's a common avatar, and we'll see if we can use something to get her doing something useful. Sometimes these packages have the meshes that look okay, but if they don't have the animation cycle sort of attached to them, then you're kind of left building all that stuff. Let's get rid of those errors. She's not doing anything useful at the moment. Okay. You're a pain, you're a pain, you're a pain. Why have you not got any animations? It's a bit annoying that there's no avatar in there. That's not right. Body character. So it's definitely her. Root. Now you need the avatar. Okay, that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to find some other way to play animations on her. All right, I am going to take her out of the scene because she's a pain. I'm going to use a different character for this. I'm going to use one that I trust a bit more. Use this one. She's the one who's going to give me the quest. All right. So she's got an avatar, which is great. We need to give her an animator. So I might give her an animator that is a generic NPC peasant or something. RPG, character control. So many animations to choose from. Some of these I've really got to rename. NM112, NM27. I have no idea what they are. I need to go through and figure them out. I did have some generic animations for people that are just sort of NPCs in the background, and that's what I'm looking for. expressions. Yeah, so we could do a talking one. Actually, we could give him a talking expressive hand gesture 10. That will probably do for the moment. Let's see if that works. Okay. Yes, you need to do this. You need to do this quest. Okay, that'll do to get started. All right, so she's at least doing an animation. Okay, the lighting's a bit off. I think I need to rebake some lighting, and I might just temporarily turn her into the sun, perhaps, just to a little bit easier to work with. The skin's a little bit shiny, which doesn't look quite right. Let's take down that reflectiveness of the skin. Skin roughness. Skin color. Skin roughness. Screen space reflections or subsurface. Skin pore. Nope. Power, strength, distortion, ambient shadow. It's been months since I've done work on characters. And this shader is very powerful. Where are you? Hair caps, freckles. Skin roughness. Maybe it's just that one there. It's very shiny. Okay, it's definitely the right roughness file. Alright, I don't worry about too much about it. I want to give her some dialogue and quest and see if we can get that going. Alright, so let's see if we can get Pixel Crusher's dialogue system at least attached to her. Oh, I need to do the salsa thing as well. I don't think we've got salsa on her. Peasant woman. Let's attach that. Now the other thing is does she actually have the facial expressions on her? Otherwise I'm wasting my time trying to get her to do dialogue. Skin mesh renderer, that's the one I want. I don't think she has. I don't think she is rigged properly. Far out. Alright, you're not going to have a speaking part. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Alright, let's try the cook. You'll do. No, maybe not. I think you'll do a little bit more like a crazy bag lady. Right, so have you got blend shapes? That's what we want, the blend shapes. Awesome, 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 awesome. We can make her do stuff. And talk. So, yes, that will work. Good. All right, we're going to use this one. So she's a cook from Dari Pulaski, I think is the artist who did a lot of my NPC characters. And some of the later ones Dari has redone with blend shapes, and I think the original the NPC peasant girl doesn't have the facial rigging where the NPC cook does. It was a few months ago since I actually worked on these, so it's sort of jogging my memory now. All right, so these actually have the blend shapes on a sub part of the prefab. So the prefab is up here, and then you've got this skin mesh renderer down here that's actually doing the rendering of the body, and that's where all those blend shapes are, and this is what we're going to use to control the dialogue. So it's important that this is rigged so that we can actually start using it. So I'm wondering if I've actually already done something here. Have I got one of these working with salsa? I don't think I have. So I haven't done the salsa rigging on them yet, as far as I can tell. No. Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. That's good practice to get back into salsa, because that's going to be important. Once it's rigged with salsa, then we should be able to hook in the dialogue system and Quest Machine, which are both from Pixel Crushers. Get some audio files, play them in there, and you have some dialogue. And yeah, obviously then you can start picking up quests and all that sort of stuff. So let's put it front and center. Let's have the skin mesh renderer in its own properties window, because we're going to need that to figure out which face shapes make smiles and things, and mouth movements and blinks and all those sorts of things. The lighting still doesn't look brilliant. This is all fine. This material is all got the cloth renderer on it, so that should be fine. But I do need her to have this rigging for the face. Okay, so we've got the blend shapes there. We can have a bit of a play on the blend shapes to get that working. But the actual main, the main prefab, this one here, needs to have the salsa stuff added to it. So yeah, I think they're the two objects that I need. And I also need my very important Vizime references. So these are basically the Vizime mouth shapes that I'm going to try and model. So you do 7 of them with a rest. And the amplitude of the audio file is going to fire these progressively. As the amplitude gets higher, it's going to move more and more to these Vizimes. And that's what gives you your kind of approximated mouth shapes. So I need that for reference. I'm going to have that off screen. I'll just save some space. I've got 2 screens here, so it makes it a bit easier. Just have that there. And we will start off with adding this in. So let's have salsa. Salsa, the main one. We need an audio source, so we need to add an audio source file to her. We need a queue processor that will just create one automatically. We need an emoter that'll create one automatically, and that bit's done. A lot of these settings will be default, which is fine. Actually, I should show you salsa, because if you're a developer and you are looking for a lip sync tool, this is absolutely superb. It's just so easy to work with. Salsa, $39. Buy it when it's on special, and it is just superb. It's so easy to work with. One of my favorite tools. So yeah, okay, so we need we need some Vizimes, and so the first one we might do is this, because rest is already there. It's already doing rest, so we don't need to worry about that one. We need to do Vizime 1, which is W, so we'll give this a name, Vizime 1W, and we need to tell it the skin mesh renderer, which is SK Cook. That's this thing we've got open here. And we then need to add components to that to say which bit of the face is going to move in accordance with this shape. So I'm going to just put this slightly off screen so I can refer to it. And I'm going to try and model the face using these direct controls. And then when I've got it right, I'm going to configure it here to say Vizime 1 equals, these settings. And that should start that process of getting the dialogue, the lip sync working. So let me have a look here. A little bit of experimentation. Sometimes it helps to actually have the character in isometric view from the front. Sometimes it helps to have it from the side, depending on what you're trying to do. Let's try it from the front here. And let's go with jaw very slightly open. And we want to push the lips in, so we want mouth pucker, I think. She looks like she's a bit toothy there. What's going on there? Whoa, that doesn't look like a whoa just yet. It's almost there. Mouth funnel and mouth pucker. So there's a mouth funnel and a mouth pucker. I get the settings. I'm just sort of referring to this one here. I think I'll just push the sides in a bit more. And maybe close the mouth a bit more. Oh, there's more pucker. It is a combination of these two by the look of it. That'll do for a start. We can tweak it. All right, so now that I've figured out from just experimentation, obviously I could take my time on this, do a lot better job, but to start with, this is just a way of getting the shape. And then what we do is we add a component to that thing here. We're going to basically call this the same as these shapes, just to make it easy to. We can call this whatever we like. Fennel, mouth funnel, 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 and that blend shape. We need to find mouth funnel, and then we need to plug in 42.3. So it will animate from 0, from neutral to 42.3. So we'll go from there to 42.3 in order to complete this shape. And then it'll combine it with this one, the mouth pucker. So mouth pucker. And that's just the label on it. And we just want to call that one there. And we want to go to 43.1 for that one, 43.1. So that's basically told in order to do the Vizim W. That looks a bit excessive, doesn't it? Let's put these back to 0. Okay, so the base one. That is very excessive. Oh, it's gone to 100, that's why. So something's up here with one of these two. Oh, I did it to 100. Damn it, it should be in 42, something like that. That's better. So you can see it toggling to those values. It won't do that when she's speaking. It'll actually animate fractions of a second up to that, and then it will morph from this shape into another shape depending on what's happening. But that's the first of our Vizim shapes, is the w. Yeah, teeth should be showing quite as much as that. We can actually close the jaw further than 0, so you can actually squash the jaw into a negative to adjust the face in whichever way makes sense. So I think her teeth are, in this particular model, her teeth are quite pronounced. That's all. And the lips and all those sort of things, we can do stuff with the lips and into negative and do stuff. But once you've wired it up and you've got the shape right on each Vizim, you kind of just let it run its course and play audio and go from there. So that's the first one. And when you're doing a lot of these one after another, it's actually a lot quicker. I'm just taking my time because I'm talking to you guys and sort of explaining it. But all right, so the Vizim 2 is F. F is going to be a bottom lip on the top teeth. So that's our start point. Let's put that back to 0. So we probably want to come in from the side to look at this, just to know what she's doing. So we're going to need the mouth open a bit. We're going to need the top lip rolled, mouth upper. Mouth upper roll, mouth shrug. upper. I think it might be, mouth shrug, lower, lower in. Yeah, I think that's the one. Really would like to get rid of that background. Let's jump into there. That's better. It's not going to let me do that because that's the prefab. I wonder if we can just hide the environment, the world. That's better. I think that's better. All right. Let's come back here. Mouth shrug lower. So we're going to bottom lip to shrug in, the jaw to open a bit. It's going a bit wonky, which is not unusual. And we want it to press on the bottom. I think it's jaw forward. Jaw forward, and then we go negative to kind of bring that bottom jaw. So instead of bringing it forward, bring it backward by making it negative. I think that's kind of what we're looking for. F. That will do. She's got a pretty manky looking mouth, but anyway, we'll see how those numbers pan out. So we just need 3 components for that one. Jaw open, which is to label, jaw open, and we're going to give this one 16.9. And the next one is jaw forward. Jaw forward, minus 38.42, because the 42 makes a difference. And what's that last one? Is mouth shrug lower. Mouth shrug lower. Mouth shrug lower, and minus 6.1. So at this point now, those are plugged in. I can zero these out to reset it, and we should have 2 visemes, and we can trigger them one at a time. Looks a bit weird, but when she's doing it in fractions of a second, hopefully it'll have the effect of sort of looking realistic. So 2 down and 5 to go. That's how you do get a lot quicker once you're doing this a lot. Viseme 3 is T. You can actually copy components from one of these to the other. So one of the shapes actually, the T and the E sound are pretty similar. It's just the jaws open a bit more, so you can actually copy the components to save time. All right, so T is going to be teeth together, jaw open a little bit. The mouth's wide, so the mouth stretch, mouth smile, right. Mouth press, could be a mouth press, dimple. Mouth, that's what I'm looking for. Mouth stretch. Nope. Mouth. I think sometimes it's a combination of stretch and press. And that kind of stretches the mouth out to the side. And with the jaw open a bit, you kind of get this shape. Mouth press left. Mouth press right. Mouth stretch right. Not quite happening, is it? Jaw open a bit more. close a little bit. And that needs to be higher. So it could be a bit of a smile, mouth smile left. Mouth smile. Right. And the jaw is definitely too far back. Yeah, she's supposed to have her teeth close together. I don't know where her bottom teeth are. Maybe she doesn't have any bottom teeth. Maybe that's what's looking weird here. It could be the fact that the bottom lip is obscuring everything. Mouth roll lower. Alright, I think that might be enough just to get it started. So sometimes you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 individual dials just for one viseme shape. So you find a simpler way of getting the shape you want, then you're good. If you have to sort of blend a few of them together, then that's what you got to do to make it work. I'm not brilliantly happy with it, but I think there's going to be some quirky characters in here that just, they look a bit odd. They look a bit funny. Mouth closed. T. Should have the teeth close together, but you can't see the bottom teeth. All right, let's go with that. Let's go. I think once you start playing some audio through, you can see which of the visemes looks realistic and which don't, and then go back and tweak them. All right, so the first component we're going to call jaw open, the usual one. Jaw open, 28.8. Next one is jaw forward. 35.5. What would be really, really neat is if you could have something on this skin mesh renderer where you could have a button here that Salsa could pull this information directly off the blend shape panel and populate this for you, because this is the time-consuming part. It's not that time-consuming, but it's a bit of a pain when you've got a lot of them to do. Mouth smile left. Mouth smile left at 59.9. This is very rough and ready, just to get something into the scene. Mouth press left. Press left. 71.1. Mouth stretched left. $40.9. Mouth lower down. That's not the one I want. That's actually the other one I want. Mouth smile right. Mouth smile right. $44.4. Mouth press right. Mouth press right. Mouth press right. 73.7. God, this particular model is quite tricky to rig. But, you know, you're going to have all sorts of NPCs in the game. So, stretch right. Mouth stretch right. 42.6. 42.6. Okay, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Okay, so these should be able to zero now. And then we should be able to preview this. T T, T, T. Not quite right, but it's getting there. It's a trigger display mode. What? T. I like the fact that T, the cheeks are coming up a bit and it's sort of obscuring the eyes a little bit. That's to be expected with this. Okay, so that's 3 down. And we might copy some of these depending on how close they are. So the next one's TH. So I'm thinking that to save a bit of time, I can actually copy this one. TH. Let's add 6 components. And let's create a copy. So copy that, paste that. Copy that, paste that. Copy that, paste that. It doesn't copy the name though, which is a bit annoying, because that would be handy. Paste that. Copy that, paste that. Copy that, paste that. 2 more. Copy, paste. Copy, paste. Okay, so in theory, this one's got the same numbers and the same shape as T. We just need to name them the same. So that'll be jaw open. Jaw forward. Mouth, smile, left. This is kind of a one-off process of doing this per character. So per NPC is going to, and then the characters get this. So it's kind of an hour or 2 per character to rig them. But then basically if they're rigged well, you can throw any dialogue at them and they'll look half reasonable. So it's kind of, it's a fairly efficient way of getting lip sync working actually. It's not too time consuming. Mouth, press right. Mouth. Stretch. Right. Okay, so that should be the same as T, T, and TH should be the same. So the question now is how to modify it to make a th sound, which I think is going to be jaw open a bit more, and the tongue out. It's got tongue out too. Okay. The tongue is a long way to go to get to the. Oh, there's a gap in her face. What's going on there? I hope that's not visible from the outside. Okay. That's odd. You're never going to see it from that camera angle anyway. All right, so we've got to bring the tongue up, which could be interesting. Tongue out. I wonder if there's a tongue out 1. Yeah, this could be jaw closed then. The jaw too far closed. It's definitely got teeth. There's definitely some gaps in there too. That's not brilliant. Let's see if we can just create a variation on this to see if we can get mouth shrug, mouth left, mouth round, dimple. So, and sometimes under bake and these below 0 is the way to get the what you're looking for. Mouth close. Jaw open. Let's close it a bit more. Okay, so we've got a different shape. Not much of a different shape. Because I haven't wired these up yet. So we want to take it out of trigger mode. We want to add tongue out. Actually, it's a jaw. It's like a jaw closed, but a mouth open. Very fiddly sometimes. All right, let's zero these out. Mouth close. Yeah, I think I might do a mouth close there. So let's add into this one. Mouth close. Mouth close. Let's chuck it up to about 50. And see if we can make that look different to the T. Yeah. So THTF. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's save the prefab in a minute. Well, we'll save the scene at least. 4 down. 3 to go. So we need an owl shape. So this one here will be. No, we don't want to change that one. We want to change this one. Vizime 5. Vizime 5. Ow. And now we've got to make this shape. Which should mostly be just jaw open, I think. I think that could be the way to just. But you want to leave some space so that they can actually do the large shape as well. So I think that might be all I need. As I say, this is just a starting point just to get the dialogue started so that you can never see it in action and go from there. Yeah, I don't like the fact that there's almost the render's almost see-through. That might be something to fix. Might have to put something behind her to hide that. Anyway, deal with that when we notice it as a problem. All right. So that's that was an easy one. So Vizime 6, which is EE. And this one pretty much is the same as T, but it's going to be wider. T and E are pretty much the same adaptation. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Jesus. Okay. All right. That's what it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Which one am I? Third one, fourth one, fifth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And 7th one. Paste. All right. Let's get these named. Draw forward. Be great if these defaulted to the name of the blend shape, but not at the moment. It doesn't do that. So I've probably done about 30 or 40 of these characters already and saved them as prefabs in the project. So this is just one I haven't worked on yet. And let's get mouth jaw open twice in there. That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. What did I do wrong there? Mouth stretch left, mouth smile right. Yeah, I don't need that one. Okay, that was a duplicate. Yes, I've done quite a few of these, which You do get quite a bit faster at it. And if the models are sufficiently similar to another model, you kind of copy the whole Vizime, copy the whole salsa configuration from one model to another, from one character to another, and then just tweak these numbers, these min and max values. That can save a huge amount of time if the models are sufficiently similar and they've perhaps been done by the same artist based on the same base mesh. Then perhaps the movement, the amount of movement can work. I should just notice something very strange with her clothing. So this is actually a single-sided shader because you're seeing through the material at the back. So I just want to quickly fix that before I forget. Properties on that. It's actually an Autodesk one, which is not one I usually use. Has it even got a second side? I don't know that it does. Let's use URP, Universal Render Pipeline, lit. I knew it was going to do that. And we render face both. That kind of fills in that back base, and now I just need to pick up the base color and put it back in again. And a metallic, which it doesn't have, so that's fine. That's fixed. Okay. All right. There should be a two-sided shader for that material. All right. So back to this. Mouth press right. And the last one is mouth stretch right. I'm probably not using the right pieces here, but I think as long as I can get the rough shape. So that's the same as a T. It's identical at the moment. I just need to make it wider. So let's have a look at which ones we're moving out. Smile left. So we could just boost the left and right. And then make the jaw open a bit more. And there's something wrong with the lip. So the lip's going into there. So we need to fix that. So if we just sort of fiddle with these numbers. T-E. Okay, so it's the mouth roll upper. So this probably needs to go negative. It still doesn't look very good. Jaw left, mouth close. Jaw forward. Okay, so this is the problem when you've got individual blend shapes on a particular part of the body, and then you combine this with something else. This is where you can break the order of things, like the teeth come out through the jaw and all that. So because they're obviously designed to work individually, and we're combining several of them, which means it's moving beyond probably where it should have been. And I'm using quite excessive numbers here. Normally the movement wouldn't be that much. But there are ways around it. It just takes a bit of fiddling. Mouth roll upper. I think that one might be too. Yeah, okay, that looks nasty. Looks like she's had the plague or something. Whoa! Okay, well that could fix her lip problem going in the teeth, because we can cover it up. Looks like she's been bitten by a bee or something. Which one was I playing with there? Mouth roll upper. Okay, so we could... it's actually putting some shadow on the tongue as well. Oh, God, it's fiddly, very fiddly. Yeah, I'm not totally convinced this is going to work with this character, but you're going to try it anyway just to see how far you get with it. It's interesting that moving the lower lip there sort of thins it out, but it also actually affects the top lip as well. So, I don't know, it's been modelled very well, because it's kind of... There's this thing here. Looks like a gum isn't quite modelled correctly. Yeah, this looks like a zombie herself. Maybe she is a zombie. What to do? Let's turn that off again. Put that back to there. Just see what the base one looks like. That's not too bad. So we just need to boost that a little bit. Forward, no. Mouth smile. We might. Yeah, that mouth smile, right. That's kind of. Jaw open. Yeah, the jaw open's having a big effect on that thing. Those are probably the numbers. E. All right, let's use those. So just basically rekey in the numbers if they've changed. So 37.4. Jaw forward. 35.5. Mouth smile left 59.9. Mouth press left 71.1. Whoa, 1.1. If you want a character to melt their face, this is probably a way of doing it with salsa, is to actually just put some very large numbers or negative numbers, and their face just disintegrates. Mouth stretched left. Mouth stretched left, like at the end of Raise the Lost Ark. Mouth stretch left. Mouth stretch 40.9. 40.9. Mouth smile right 44.4. I'll be glad to get this one done because it's a bit of a pain. 73.3. 73.7. And 42.6. You can't really tell if it's going to work well or just be pretty average until you actually throw some dialogue in there. T-E-E. Okay, let's just compare those. L-E-T. Yeah, so there's a little bit of difference. And you just want a bit of variety in there to make that interesting. Okay, next one is so the last one. New Vizime 7. Hopefully this is just jaw open. This should be reasonably easy to do. We just got to figure out what the number is. I'm using the guide here to figure out how much open we're talking about with this character. In normal speech, they're unlikely to go the full. Let's do that. Jaw open. 70.2. 70.2. All right. So we have Vizimes. Whoop, don't need that one. We have Vizimes that have reasonable amount of variety. Each Vizime is triggering multiple blend shape numbers, which it will scale to, and then from there either back to neutral or it'll go to the next Vizime, and it'll animate between these quite quickly. We're talking fractions of a second with the amplitude of the audio. So that's how it's actually working. So what we need now is an audio source. We need an audio clip to put in there, and then we can try this and see if it looks anywhere near realistic. If it does, she can stay in the scene. If not, I'm just going to... I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to play by ear. Let's just give us some audio. So I've got plenty of sort of canned audio. I think I've got some audio that might work for her. Voiceovers. Female voice pack. Let's say... These are sort of just generic audio files just to get things started. Laughter. Refuse action on spotting enemy. What's the other one got? Of course, you can use a male voice and change the pitch, and you can kind of get a reasonable effect with it as well. Enemy refuse action. Laughter. Let's just start with the laughter one, see what we get. So references here, preview config. Okay, I think, yeah, we've got the audio muted. Okay, so she's doing stuff. I think you can hear that. I think the audio is playing through. All right, so it's doing something. Let's chuck in some other audio and see what we get.
Death to the weak. Death to the weak.
Okay, so it's doing stuff, but it's actually not firing those visemes particularly well because I haven't actually distributed them. So this scale factor here is if I preview,
Death to the weak.
It's jumping between some of these and it's ignoring some of the other ones. So it's not a smooth distribution.
Death to the weak.
It's kind of going 1, 2, 7, 2, 1. So if we do a curve,
death to the weak.
It does.
Death to the weak.
It does a bit more variation in there.
Death to the weak.
But there's definitely some visemes in here that don't look right, and I think it might be the F. Looks horrible. So I need to fix that. That is not right. Then it's lopsided. F. It's the right shape. What's wrong with it? It's the sides here. I think it's these sides need to be brought up. So what's going on? Jaw open. Jaw open. Mouth press. Mouth press. Let's just try it from scratch. So we got jaw open. Mouth roll lower. And jaw forward. We bring that back a bit so that the bottom lip is behind the... Yep, that's kind of... It's probably a little bit too much. Let's open a bit more. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Jaw forward. I think that could work better. All right, so if we plug those new numbers in on F, and let's see if that just makes a little bit more realism. This is the tweaking part. So, what do we have? Bollocks, we've lost it all. Okay. Jaw open, jaw forward, mouth shrug. Okay, so jaw open, jaw forward. Whoa, too much. Mouth shrug lower. Jaw forward, it's too much. Mouth open a little bit. And bring that bottom lip in. Mouth shrug lower. That way. Yeah, you see how it's lopsided? So as you do it excessively, this side is pulling down very differently this side. So obviously it's wired in the mesh, lopsided. But it gets more and more excessive the bigger the numbers are, that's all. So I'm just going to do it very, very subtly. Just to kind of get that bottom lip in. And what's the other one? Mouth shrug lower, jaw forward, jaw open. Mouth shrug lower, jaw forward, jaw open. What does she need to do? She needs to... Oh, well, that's a little bit better, I think. So let's plug those numbers in. 12.9. Draw forward. Minus 47.84. Mouth shrug lower. Minus 16.2. 7.2. And then we've got fourth one. Mouth smile left. Smile left. 10.2. Okay. Circle them down. All right. So with this little bit of adaptation, hopefully that F is not quite as ugly looking as it was before. Let's see.
Death to the weak.
So it's definitely one of those is not looking quite.
Death to the weak.
Yeah, I think it could be that. TH. Yeah, TH is looking a bit odd. TF. T. T and TH are looking too much. I think it's the mouth press because these bits of the corner of the mouth are pushing in too much. But I need them raised. I just don't need them raised that much.
Death to the weak. Death to the weak. Death to the weak.
Let's mute that. We've heard her say it. Let's just... Actually, what I'm going to do is put that into a loop. Because we're not going to hear it anyway. Let me just see it working. Yes, the T and the TH are probably the ones that I would work on. But we're getting enough movement there to see. She obviously is staring. We need to get her to do blinks and we need to get her to do movement animation. But it's starting to get there. They just need some work to polish it, I think. That's the thing. You can come back to these numbers and fiddle with them. And you can see them kind of, it's happening very, very fast, but you can see them moving between the values, coming back again. And it's the amplitude is just triggering between these. And you can see which ones are getting fired. Very rarely does it hit this O because that particular audio file doesn't go that loud. So I think that's probably all I want to do for the time being with the Visemes. Stop. What I want to do is rig the eyes for blinking because it looks weird when they're just staring directly forward. And then come back and give us some more dialogue. Maybe give us some male dialogue and change the pitch. And then do some of the facial expressions, the emotes. So it's reasonably quick to sort of get this stuff done one after another. So we've got the emoter there. We'll come back to that emoter. We're going to do the eyes. Oop, that's a different component. What do we want? That one. Okay, so we've got the character root. We need the Q processor, which is already existing, so we just pick that up. Look target, we're not worried about at the moment. That will be probably the player character. The head configuration, we need to know if it's bone Z or bone XY. I'm going to assume it's bone XY for the time being, till I know it differently. You can have multiple heads on a character, but in this case I've got one. And it needs to know the bone transform for the head. So it needs the armatures, spine, neck, head. It needs the transform to be able to move the head around, which is going to use that armature connection to do that, so that when you're talking, the head is not completely static. It's moving around. And in the idle things, she can be looking around. And the eyes will dart within a certain radius, and the eyes will focus on things either close or distant, and that'll make the eyes converge and focus close or far away. And if they require the head to move, then the head will move as well. So basically you wire up eyes salsa, lipsync, and emoter, and pretty much you've got them doing most of the dialogue sort of things without any animator. You're not really playing with an animator at this point, doing actions. All it is an idle animation that looks realistic. So we've got that. So the head is done. The eye configuration, eye templates. I think, yes, we've got eyes as blend shapes, which means we can use blend shapes here rather than bones. And I always get confused with this bit. We need to set the eye 0. We're going to make eye left. And so that's come up here. And we need the renderer, which is the SK Cook, I think it is. SK Cook. There, we set that, and then that sets it for both eyes. Now, this anywhere it's yellow, it needs config, and when it goes blue, it's enough to get past. It can do something with it, so the blue is fine, it will work. The yellow means it's not going to work at all because it needs configuration. So, blend shapes. Okay, so we've got that. We want the gizmos, and it creates the gizmo, and I think they're on the ground. I think I need to turn. Oh, there we go. So I need to turn that on. I need to move that gizmo to position that where the left eye is. So I'm going to move that into position so that it's roughly right. It will be hidden, but it uses that to kind of use a good bit of a guide. All right, so there's the gizmo. What else do we need? We need the eye left. These are the eye looking positions. So this is going to be generally you look up. So eye up. Eye look up. I think I'm going to do left eye look up. Let's give that a meaningful name. The direction type is up. The blend shape is eye look up left. And we'll go from 0 to 100. And the next one will be right. So let's go left eye look right. And with right, with the left eye looking right, she's going to look towards a nose. So that's in. So that should be left eye look in, or eye look in left, if that makes sense. And the next one will be down. So left eye look down. Obviously it combines the left eye and the right eye together, but it does them independently so that they focus on near and far objects. Left eye look down, which is pretty easy. That's eye look down left. And then we've got left eye look left, which will, left eye looking left looks out away from the nose. So that's eye look out left. All right, so that's the left eye done. Completely done. So now we do the right eye. We create a gizmo and move it again in a position approximately over the eyes. And where are we? Eye. That'll be the right eye. And this will be right eye look up. I didn't copy the skin mesh renderer. Why didn't it do that? Oh, you've got to select each one and do it. There we go. Right, so right eye look up will be eye look up right. It's got a different name in this particular blend shape, but that's okay. Right eye look right. So you've got to think about it here. Right eye looking right for the character is out. So right eye look out right. down, right eye, look down. I probably could make them exactly the same as this, but I like having meaningful tags on these, even if the blend shape name is a bit odd. But I do want to kind of match them if I can. So what's this one? This one's right eye, look down, right eye, look down, right. And again, this is a one-off configuration. Once it's done with this character, you never touch it again. There's no point. It's done. Assuming that a 100 is the level that you want to go to. Right eye, look left, which will be in towards the nose. Right eye, look in right. Okay, so that's the eye movements done. Now you need the eyelids so they can blink. So the eyelid configuration is going to be a blend shape again. It needs the yellow, which means it needs configuration. So we're going to do blend shapes. We need the renderer, which will be the skin mesh renderer, like that. And we'll set that on left eyelid 1 and eyelid 2. And eyelid 0 will be left eyelids. And eyelid, this one here will be right eyelids. So I think we're doing it as combination because I think, I'll turn off that now. I think when we blink, it's closing both eyelids, mostly the top. Basically, we're going to go from 0 to 100 on the left and 0 to 100 on the right. So we actually don't need top and bottom eyelids. We're controlling them with the one. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to grab that and go like that. And then I'm going to pick the blend shape that makes that happen. So the left eyelid's going to be eye blink left 0 to 100. And the right eyelid's going to be what did I say? Eye blink right to 100. Preview. There we go. So those blink cycles it's going to handle that automatically. It's going to do blinks randomly in the scene, and that's all you need to do. Track properties. This is the blink rate, percentage of eyes. You can do tracking of all that stuff. Quite involved, but I find the defaults a lot of this time is quite good. So basically we've done the lip sync, we've done the eyes, so now she'll blink. She won't blink in editor mode. You need to run it in play mode, but we can zoom in and we'll be able to see her do her blink, and then we can work on the emoter and get the emotes going, which is the smiles and the sniffs and the eyebrow raises when she's talking. So they can be randomized, or they can be triggered by the dialogue, or by the visemes. It can actually trigger them individually as well. Because you can wire in any of these brow in or up, you can kind of make it so that when you're doing your T sound, you always do your out. All right, but it's better to actually have these as emotes that are separate. So you might have a small smile and a big smile, and then you're firing them either through individual dialogue lines triggering those events, or through just randomization. So that's that done. I think what I'm going to do is unhide some of the rest of the scene. I'm going to save it, unhide some of the scene, like the world and the environment, bring back the environment, and she'll go into a loop. She'll be talking continuously. A bit like, okay, we've got some other objects that we're referencing here that are, she's doing a thing, she's doing a blink, she's looking down. She's looking down a lot. You can actually, she's moving ahead. There we go. A little bit of a head move. If we put them on there, we can actually see what she's looking at. So there is a grid, sorry, a square that she's got here, which is the sort of randomized range of head movement, and this is the randomized range of eye movement within the head movement, if you know what I mean. So the green is being randomized, and then the eye gizmos are actually pointing at whatever she's focusing on, And if you had a character there and you said affinity to the character is 100%, then they'd be staring at the character as they're talking. So that seems to be working quite well. We don't need the guide on at the moment. It looks like she's talking with somebody pretty close, like within a meter. I'm just going to turn off that grid. The eyes are down. We can change that. We can make them look up. We can pull the chin up to make them look more confident. It's not actually firing the audio at the moment. It's got play on awake, which it didn't do, but I'm not sure if we need to get it to do. Let me trigger this manually. Okay, so she's not triggering her audio. That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. It might be because we've got these null refs, perhaps. One on null refs. Could be that. Let's come out. So we could have a null ref that's stopping it from doing the dialogue in play mode at the moment. That's definitely working. It's annoying that the you can't stop the all the plants from flowing around in the wind when the editor's in stop mode at the moment. If I do that, it's a bit better. All right, so it's playing here. I'm going to turn off the warn on null refs. Save the scene, just see if I can play that again. Again, it could be because I've got characters in the scene that are turned off at the moment. The horse is turned off. So there's references between the character and the horse that might be throwing the scene out a little bit. So let's bring the character back in. Let's unhide this stuff here. So enemies and night. So we got the night back in, which is the main camera. The lights, the horse. We don't need the post-processing volume. All right, so hopefully that will get rid of some of those null references. It's taking a bit more grunt to do it now. There we go. There we go.
To the weak, death to the weak, death to the weak, death to the weak, death.
She gets a bit repetitive.
Death.
It's obviously slowed the frame rate down. We've got a lot more going on in this scene than needs to be seen by the camera. So we need to actually go into visualize. It's a little bit more smoothly now. If we bring the character, the game screen up. So she's not got any animation. She's just standing there. But she is talking. The head is moving, believe it or not. It's probably just on a very slow cycle. If we turn on the gaze, there you can see she's looking not at the character. She's randomizing her gaze within this yellow box. And then depending on where the yellow box lands, it will change the position of the head. It's not moving the head very much at the moment. So it needs a bit of stuff to play. But it is starting to do stuff. She's playing audio.
Death to the weak. Death to the weak.
So I need to give her some audio that is longer to just make it less boring to listen to. So let's grab the audio source here and where are we? Audio source, references, audio source. Here we are. So, there's our references. Q processor. The Q processor was broken on the emoter. I think that might be what it was. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the emoter completely just so that I get rid of that error. I'm going to find some audio that is actually for a man, and then I'm going to just raise the pitch so that it sounds like a woman. Just for fun, really make a difference. Let's take the high elf because I think the high elf voices are already stock lines, custom. I find the custom lines in this one are a little bit more interesting. And it's. I think we can play this in the editor. And it's. Why is it doing that? Oh, it's added the emoter back in. Oh hum. All right, so we need the emoter. Link the queue processor. New emote. Skin mesh renderer. We'll just do that. Then it gets rid of the errors. All right, so we've got no emoter doing anything, but anyway, okay. So preview the config.
I hear danger approaching. I hear danger approaching.
Okay, so what we're going to do is just raise the pitch very slightly, 10%.
I hear danger approaching.
10%.
I hear danger approaching.
10%.
I hear danger approaching.
It still sounds a bit male, but anyway, that's...
I hear danger approaching. I hear danger approaching.
Okay, so somewhere around that 1.4 is a plate. This obviously isn't the final audio. This is just a way of me getting some additional longer audio lines in to trigger this character. Let's try a different audio file now.
Our enemies surround us, but we shall hold our ground. Our enemies surround us, but we shall hold our ground. Our enemy.
Okay, let's have something. I can't really see. My eyesight's getting worse and worse. Let's do this one. I'm not sure I like the high elf voice, but anyway.
Does your owner know you are off your leash? Does your...
It's a bit fast, so we could slow it down a bit. Which one is the slow down? Slow down. So, spatial pitch volume priority. It's not the priority. I think you can actually slow down the play to... So it doesn't change the pitch. The pitch stays the same, but it actually plays it slower because it does seem a bit rushed. And I'm wondering if it is the pitch that's making it rushed. And you can do it in reverse. Yeah, so that's the thing. So you can speak backwards, which is pretty cool. So if you do something that is deep in reverse, you kind of get a... That's too fast. You want it kind of... Yeah, pretty cool. So it's got to be a positive number. Yeah, but if you choose something less than 1, but greater than 0, then you're going to get something that's slow. So 0.2 is going to be pretty slow. So there's your demon voice. Yeah, so let's just pick one of these other audio guys. Let's go with what do I want to do? Demon Cornish file. Actually, this one's quite a lot of fun. So this is actually a recording of a real person from Cornwall. It's too slow. I am doing it like 1.
It's coming now. Ain't changing by bullocks, they ever. Some of them, they're always new come that last week.
Very, very Cornish. So I'm going to put that to 1.4.
It's coming now.
You definitely need subtitles for this. But anyway, let's see how that works in the scene. I don't know why it's cropping the clothing. It's odd. But anyway, might just be the camera.
It's coming now. Ain't changing by bullocks, they ever. Some of them, they're always new come that last week. You know, summer, so they're bugging around the gate. It's coming now.
All right.
Changing by bullocks, they ever. Some of them, they're always new come that last week. You know, summer, so they're bugging around the gate.
Too much going on. I think the character is not necessarily looking at the NPC, and that could be why we're an isometric view as well. That could be why we're cropping part of the environment out. Where is our character? They're there. Okay. they are hidden as well. That's interesting. There we go. So let's bring the character over. Let's just rotate them temporarily and bring them somewhat into range. And somewhat into where they would be for dialogue. Just so at least the camera position is half reasonable. Okay. I'm going to turn off the Cornish accent because it's too much. All right. The frame rate has dropped a lot because there's so much going on in the scene now. It's like 6 frames per second, but there's no optimization. There's not even any occlusion culling going on at the moment. What I want to do is just get the character looking at the NPC so that I can take this view here and zoom in a bit and actually see what she's doing. She's doing what she's supposed to be doing. Let's see if we can get go back into isometric. It's a bit easier to move. That longer audio is definitely helping with giving her more dialogue to work with. Okay, it's easier to see what's going on there now. All right, so we get a sense of where the eyes are moving. There's no affinity to the character at the moment, so it looks like they're just looking straight ahead. But you can actually tie the eyes setting to look at the character. And what you generally do is when you start dialogue with an NPC, you would feed into this field the transform or the look target, which would be the player. I don't know if it will work in real time. So if I actually try and put that character in there, so I put the demo knight in there, will that upset it? There you go. So now she's looking down at her feet because that's the transform position of the character. So that does actually do it in real time. So she's now got a head tilted forward, which looks a bit odd. But she is absolutely looking at the transform position of the knight because that's where the base position of the character is. So that is actually working pretty well. So what we want to do is actually put in probably the eyes position or the head position of the player. I think that's going to be the thing that gets passed across when dialogue starts, whenever any dialogue starts, is to pass in the player's character's head position into the transform of the NPC. So let's find that and just see how that works, because then I can move the player around in the scene and this person should follow, the head should follow the look. Head track sensor. I need to know the equipment container head track sensor. It's not the head track, although that might give what's required. Okay, that's not too bad. I think the head track is not quite in the right place. If I move, yeah, there you go. So there you go. So as I'm moving around the scene, it is tracking my head with the player, and the character is the NPC is continuing to keep eyes on me. But you could also have some dialogue that means they look away or they're embarrassed and they look down or something. So you can trigger these specific events. God, my wife's loud. You can trigger these specific events to do things out of the ordinary, but certainly that is working. You can see where I'm looking. My green characters, that's where I'm sort of aiming. But yeah, as I'm moving around the scene, she's actually turned her head. She's following me. The head is moving. If I move around behind her, she's going to have trouble doing that, or it's going to, yeah, she can't do it. So she looks as far as she can within the bounds. and then gives up. So if I rotate up, she's pretty much going 90 degrees. And then she'll follow. God, my wife is so loud. I don't know what's going on out there. Anyway, so I'm running around the scene quite merrily. And however far away I am, she's got her eyes on me. She doesn't trust me at all because I'm going to steal all her cats. She's following. She obviously hasn't got any animation, but all of this stuff is working quite nicely. And that's simply by passing in one transform position that is dynamic on the player. Generally, I think it would be the eyes or, the center of the head or something, because people tend to look at other people's eyes. But that is working a treat. So that's good. That's very good. All right. Obviously, there's a couple of things here. Interestingly, there's a coroutine on the bird cockatiel. Interesting. Something tied in with the bird. It's also been destroyed. Okay, yep. Okay. So I'm going to leave that as it is. I think that's working quite well, actually. I think that's going to work as an NPC in that environment. And let's take it out of isometric view. So she's essentially wired, ready for dialogue. So I need to write some dialogue and have the player be able to choose dialogue choices and responses, and then get a voice actor to record that dialogue, put it in the project, and have dialogue manager, dialogue system rather, from Pixel Crushers. When you choose that dialogue, it's going to pass it into that audio player, that audio source here, and Salsa's just going to handle the rest automatically. So whilst it's taken me, a couple of hours to get to that point, that character is now, for the most part, ready to kind of drop into a scene. I do need to give her an animator, which I think she needs to be doing something. So she hasn't got an animator controller, so I'm wondering if there is a crafting or something like that. This one here, crafter. Let's see if we can get it doing something in the scene rather than just stand in T-pose. Okay, she's doing a movement, doing a bit of an idle. Obviously, we're not telling her what crafting to do. We could give her an a talking animation so that she actually gestures with her hands. That might be a good one to do, actually, because we're generally going to be talking to her. So let's do that. Talk. Hand on hip. Expressive hand gesture one. Let's sort of experiment with some of these. There you go. She's just flapping her arms around. Let's take the cursor off her. There we go. And we'll focus in on her. And I think when you're in dialogue and you're talking with these NPCs, I'm still sort of working through how it might be presented in Zarktor's realm. I'm thinking that the camera frames the player like this, but zooms in a bit more on the NPC, while the NPC is doing their dialogue lines, and then as you choose your dialogue lines, then you're going to get the player from the NPC's point of view. So the camera would flip between the two. I'm sort of toggling between doing a panning of the camera between the two, the talkie and the talker, or actually framing both of them in dialogue at the same time, which might be interesting. It might be difficult to do, but I think it is possible to get it to calculate the midpoint between the two and kind of position the camera as an offset to the two. Because I think that sort of thing, you can then have the dialogue in the middle that you're choosing. You're seeing the subtitles, you're seeing them doing the thing. You can still have cutscene stuff where you zoom in the camera when someone's making a particular point, but I think that might work a bit better than trying to pan the camera left and right, left and right, left, right, left, right. So it's going to be something that I set up once, and it happens throughout the game in that way. But I might also want to give the player the ability to control how the dialogue is cinematographized. Is that the word? How the camera is going to work in dialogue with NPCs. Because a lot of the time you don't have any control over this in a game, but you can actually control where the camera is. As you can see, I'm moving the editor through there. I can do it from either side. I can do it over the shoulder, but then you can't see the player talking. And maybe that's something that you don't need to see the player talk. I mean, Fallout 3, the player doesn't speak. There's no audio lines. You can still have the player doing their gesturing when they're doing the talking, but you may not ever see the facial expressions. But I do quite like the idea of framing the two characters conversing with the dialogue in the middle. I think that's what I want to try and achieve. But I want to calculate the position of the camera dynamically. So if you stand off center or you stand too far away, it needs to you wouldn't be able to interact in dialogue, so you need to be within a certain boundary. But I think that's the way to do it, is to frame the two people talking. If you've got more people in the picture, then you might have a third person here and you're framing the camera in the fourth position. I think that's the answer.
Some of them, they're all come last week, supper, so they're bugging around the gate. Didn't have a zone, here we are. Coming now.
Yeah, okay, so the audio file's just Cornish muck, but it just triggers all this whatever's going on. She's doing her talking animation, which is a body animation, and I've got a lot of these gesture sort of things. I can sort of tone it down so the gesture is not quite as strong. But I think what will happen is in dialogue, it's going to fire an audio file at that source, and it's going to tell it to do a particular body expression, hand gesture thing, and that's what's going to. And the camera's going to frame, and I think it's going to automatically do all that, and all this other stuff's happening in the background. Yeah, so now you can kind of see how this NPC type of dialogue is going to work. I hope that's been interesting to people. I don't know if you're a developer yourself and you might have done this sort of thing. I'd be sort of interested to see how other people might approach it. But this is how I figured out how to get the dialogue going. I will work on writing a little bit of dialogue and getting some dialogue into a user interface on the screen so you can actually start selecting that. It's going to be using a product. Where are we? It is called Dialogue Manager by where are you? There's so many packages here. Tools, Pixel Crushers, Dialogue System. There we are. Dialogue Editor. So in this thing, basically, you've got a node editor where you can create the actors, and obviously there's two actors here. You can obviously create your quest items. This links in with Quest Machine, which is also a Pixel Crushers product. And you define conversations, and you can use templates and things and pass variables in that will set. So if you win a particular dialogue challenge with an NPC, and then it sets a variable and you open up a new quest line because that flag is now yes rather than no. And you can pass in dynamic dialogue and things like that. So I'm going to be making, what I'll do is I'll actually make a template dialogue, get that wired in here, and then talk about that on the next stream. I think it's getting a bit late. I'm getting a bit tired. But certainly I want to get this demo scene will be where you talk to this NPC. They give you a quest or two to go and clear out the zombies in the dungeon, and you'll get a quest in your quest log. You go and complete it. You come back, get the quest hand in and get the reward, whatever the reward's going to be. One of her cats, probably. And I might get my daughter or someone like that to actually record some dummy audio just so that there's something in there for us, rather than that Cornish content that we've just been listening to. And then we can kind of tweak all this salsa stuff to make it look a bit more realistic and frame the camera and work those sort of things. And that kind of should wrap around the NPC part of this scene. And we can then start bringing in the animals and putting them into their AI cycle. But let's actually just get a couple of animals in just so that you've got them sitting in the scene. It's easy enough to do. I won't give them the AI stuff just yet, because you've actually got to wire up all the animations, and you've seen how many animations there are on those cats. You've got to select each one of the animations that you want to fire when they do different things in their AI routine. So there's a fair bit involved in it. Again, but you generally probably set this up once. So I'm just going to put the animals in the scene just for scale. Let's go to animals and cat. Turkish van. I reckon she's going to have a Turkish van, and I reckon she's going to have a few around. She's going to have a few around her, and they're just going to be standing there at the moment. But we will give them some animations. When's that one going out? She's got any mesh. Let's have another tortoise shell. She's got a few cats around her. Okay, so they're not going to do anything right now because I've not got any animator tied into them. They are animating. They're actually doing an idle tail wag. But they're just standing there, and they're not doing their sleep or sit or lick or whatever animation. But you can kind of tell she's a crazy cat lady, and she's going to give you a quest. I also haven't tied in Vector in order to, like, if I hit her, it's not going to do any damage. It's hitting because she's got a skin mesh renderer on her, and it's hitting the triggers. But it's not doing any. I haven't set it to do any damage, so she's not killable, and neither are the cats. They are. It could be quite hard to hit the cat, actually, but you're getting the hit animation, so it's triggering a hit. It's just not doing any damage because I haven't told it how much damage to do to this character, or even make it respond. Anyway, she's rattling on, doing her thing. The cats are animating, at the very least, their tails, so I know something's happening with them. But I might leave it there for tonight, and because I think the next chunk of stuff that I want to go through with you is actually displaying the dialogue with dialogue system, choosing some dialogue choices, maybe getting a quest and putting it in the quest log, and perhaps doing some animation with the cats and getting them to roam around, follow you, ignore you, avoid you, or whatever. So the system that I'm using for the AI for these sort of animals is called Emerald AI. It is a pretty amazing product. Here we go, Emerald AI. So it's got again $44 for a product, 44 US. Just put it in your list and buy it when it's on special. And yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in here. There's just a lot of stuff it can do straight out of the box. It takes very little to configure it, but you do have to tell it what animations to play under different situations. So there's lots of panels that you choose from to drag and drop things in, to configure your characters to do stuff. But it's pretty straightforward. Like with the cat, it's fairly easy to go move forward, move left, move right, die, attack. You know, you're telling it all those things. So I will get into that on the next stream next week, and I think that will be quite interesting for people to see. The animals start to come to life, and then I guess following on from that, we can probably get into how to make them into a pet, and how to make them friendly versus aggressive to the player. We'll get into the dialogue on her and the quests. And then really to top off this scene, it's going to be tying in when you kill these guys who are sitting down here in the dungeon. They're going to, at some point, killing off enough of these is going to trigger the completion of that quest, which sets a flag. You go back to that person to collect the quest, checks the flag is set. Okay, yeah, quest is complete. Here's your item, here's your cat. I think that's probably how this scene is going to play out in its very most basic form. But the thing that's going to set that trigger is probably going to be that main guy who's down on the bottom level. I think he's in here somewhere. This guy's kind of like the demon boss of this particular catacomb area. I'm probably going to make him bigger, and he's certainly going to have mobs around him that he's going to spawn whenever he likes. So he's going to be a little bit difficult to kill. But basically, clearing out the dungeon or clearing out the catacomb requires dealing with him. The others, you'll kind of just accumulate items and probably put stuff in your inventory from whatever they drop. And you're going to come back to her and hand it in and be done. I'm going to put a little hut here where she lives as well. So there's something here. And the other part of this zone is the fact that as you enter or as you exit this area here and you start to get into the more open ground, it's going to basically move you to the world view where you start to go elsewhere in the game. So this playable area is going to be the dungeon, this sort of round area here, and then and you hit one of these boundaries. We want to take you elsewhere in the game because there's not much else in this scene, and we don't want a massive scene. We want to kind of keep it contained for performance reasons. But anyway, that's where we're up to. I hope you've enjoyed that, and you're starting to see how some of these other characters are going to come into the world. And this is all basically what I'm building here is going to be the playable demo that we release for the beta. It's also what I'm going to be using for the upcoming PAX Oz conference in October. So there's going to be enough content in this level to show you the playability, the combat, the horse riding, the dialogue, the pets, the collection, the inventory. All those things are in this scene, and it'll be a bit more complex than just go kill the zombies. There'll be a few other things going on here. She might be able to trade with you and a few things like that. But basically, there'll be enough mechanics in this scene to explore and go from there. So I hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thank you very much for viewing. Thanks for coming. Please join the Discord server if you can, and reach out to me through Discord. We have a chat throughout the week. And I certainly do take on feedback from people as I went to GammaCon last weekend, met some fantastic people. So the comments that people were giving me when I was presenting the game at GammaCon have given me insight into what people find exciting about the potential of the game. So that's really helping me guide what order to do things and what people want to see in the game. But also just suggestions on Discord. I can take them on board and try and integrate them. So thank you very much for viewing. I will see you next week. I'll be on 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. Please join me on Discord in the meantime. Thank you.